So today's video is going to help you understand how tarot cards and oracle cards are currently being used in a way that I believe is detrimental to us instead of helpful for us. A quick little disclaimer here, this is my opinion based on my experience and what I've observed happening, as well as what's being channeled to me by my spirit team. If the ways I mention in this video are helpful to you, then, obviously discard what I'm doing and keep doing that. But I felt a need to talk about this because I feel like for a lot of people, it's not helping and it's detrimental instead. Now, quickly, what qualifies me to talk about this is the fact that I've been reading tarot and oracle cards for myself and other people since I was 11 years old. So I've been through a lot of experiences and learning how to understand the tarot cards and the oracle cards as I've gone along, and ways in which I've used them that have helped people, and that's also helped me understand the ways that they shouldn't be used. So the first way that they're being used, which is detrimental to all of us, is the readings that are being given are more about appealing to our ego and what we want to hear instead of our soul and what we need to hear. So to give you an example of this, a lot of the readings that I'm seeing go a little something like this. If you're single, you're going to meet an extremely wealthy man, and he's going to be cold to everybody else except you. You're the only one he's ever been able to love, but he may not be telling you this because he's scared of telling you this. Another one, you are going to become rich. There is abundance coming your way. Another one, you're going to become famous. Finally, all that work that you've done is going to pay off, and you're going to be famous, and you're going to become really well known, and everybody's going to love you. These are just a few examples, but there's many more that sort of go along those same lines. And so you'll notice that all of those types of readings are talking about materialistic things that you're going to gain, or they're putting you on a pedestal above everyone else. They're not about your soul and the inner work that needs to be done. Now, I'm not saying that these things can't happen. They definitely can. And I'm also not putting all of the onus on the readers either, because of the fact that if these types of readings are playing out, it's because it's what we want to hear. There's probably plenty of readers that are doing readings on what our soul needs to hear, but they might be being overlooked because we're more so focusing on the materialistic things instead of the inner guidance. So when one thing plays out in one part of the collective, it has to play out in all of the collective, right? So it's a two-way street. It's both the reader and the people being read for that are responsible for this at the moment. The other thing is, while you're being, glued to your phone or computer, tablet, whatever you're watching these videos on, and while you're being completely investing your time into these tarot readings and these oracle card readings, you are not out there living your life, connecting to the earth, you know, connecting to people and places that your soul is calling you to be, you know. So these tarot videos may be saying what could happen for you, but while you're being stuck watching these videos, you're not out there actually living it. Now, how's it detrimental? It's detrimental because it's keeping us disconnected from our soul guidance, our spiritual guidance within. It's keeping us looking outside of us for that guidance, or trying to control things that we can't control. And the funny thing is that the more we're focusing on those things, the less they're actually going to happen for us, because we aren't doing the work within ourselves that needs to be done to get to that point. Okay, and it's also a vibration of wanting, which, if you know anything about the law of assumption at the moment, being in that vibration of wanting is actually going to keep those things away from you, okay? But it's not just about them not coming to you because you're not connected within. It's all the negative things that can happen as a result of you not being connected within and looking outside of yourself. You know, I believe, like, emotional imbalances, physical imbalances, in our body, in our mind, all of these things can happen because we're not connected to ourselves. There's an ambulance currently going past, which I think, you know, was kind of like a sign as to what I was saying there, where it can be detrimental to our physical body as well, to always be so disconnected from within. Also, if you're focusing on what the overall collective wants by watching these types of readings, then I believe that also stops you from receiving the spiritual guidance from your own spirit and your own spirit team, because you're so focused on the things that you want to happen instead of what needs to happen. You know, it disconnects you from being in the present. It disconnects you from being helpful to the world and the greater collective, because you're focusing on selfish needs. And that's not to say that there isn't a time that we shouldn't ever focus on selfish needs, but a lot of you that have watched me probably know that I always say it's everything in balance. The second way that they're being used in a detrimental way is the readings that are all about someone you love coming back. And a lot of these can also be the twin flame readings that are happening. You know, just before we go into that though, I just quickly wanted to add on to the first way in the cards being used detrimentally. The reader will often say, take what resonates and discards the rest. But the thing is, if they're doing readings that are general readings that are going to be something that everyone wants, everything is going to resonate. So I believe it should be what resonates with your soul. Take what resonates with your soul. Okay, because if it wasn't in your soul's path to want to be rich, or you know, want to be with a wealthy partner, you will feel your intuition and your soul guiding you away from those outside things that you're focusing on. So yeah, take away from that first point in how it's being used detrimentally is to make sure it resonates with your soul, not your ego. Okay, not what you want to hear, not what's outside of yourself, but your soul and the inner work and the path that your soul wants for you. And the way in which you can make sure that it's actually resonating with your soul is because you'll see it in your life. If it's a reading that's resonated with your soul, then what you will do will be beneficial in your life, and you will have this feeling of, I feel like, just inner peace. Or else the other type of reading is going to leave you wanting more, and feeling quite empty. And so you're going to feel the need to then fill that emptiness with more of those tarot readings to feel like you already have that. Okay, so the second way that I was going into was the readings about a loved one coming back, or twin flame readings. You know, and the thing about these readings is often they'll say it's important to detach from the outcome, or to detach from wanting the person back. Meanwhile, you're focusing on these readings though, which is actually keeping you extremely connected to their energy and to the energy of wanting them back. So while you're focusing on these readings constantly about them, you can't detach. And I'm not saying that from a place of judgment, because, you know, I have loved ones in my life that I've fallen out with and have wanted them to return. And while I was still watching the readings, there's no way I was able to detach, okay? Because there is usually a cord between you and people that have been in your life anyway, because there was a connection. For whatever reason, there needed to be a connection. But what you're doing is you're putting all your focus into them and their life, and none of it into yourself. And yeah, I just don't believe while you're constantly watching these readings that you can detach. So then what happens is these readings are like, they're coming back, they're coming back, they're coming back. And then in your real life, what you're seeing is they don't come back. And so you want to feel like they have come back. So to feel like they have come back, you get caught in the cycle of watching more readings. Also, my belief is that these readings should be about you and your life. Okay, so if we're constantly having readings that are focusing on someone else, that is not helping us in any way, shape or form. And that again leads to that feeling of emptiness that you then need to fill with more tarot readings. Okay, so seeing a common theme here, this is what's causing this tarot addictions, is these cycles of not looking within, attaching to what's outside, and so then feeling empty because we don't have that connection within. We're not connected to ourselves and our soul. And this cord actually means that you don't even need tarot readings to have the connection with that person. It just is. And if there are messages that you need to know about that person, you will feel them and you will be connected to their energy anyway. So, you know, I think the tarot reading is kind of like maybe putting into your head what they're thinking and feeling, or keeping you focused on like, I don't have their energy, I need to be connected to their energy. Meanwhile, you know, there is already a connection, if there's meant to be. the cord will no longer remain if there's not meant to be anymore. And the other thing that could be happening in these readings that are about other people is, while you're so focused on a past person's energy and they're coming back to you, the reading could actually be about someone completely new, or about someone that's not from the past, someone that is in your life, and the reading could be giving you information about someone who actually is in your life. And, you know, let's just say example, they're going through a hard time and they may need you to be there for them, and you're going to completely miss that message because you're so focused on that reading being about that past person. I think sometimes the hardest thing for us to realize as well is that we are focusing on those tarot readings sometimes to avoid ourselves having to feel the pain as well of losing a loved one. Sort of keeps us from feeling that pain. So when you disconnect from readings about that and you go within, you may have to feel that pain and you may have to heal, but at least you're going to focus on you and your life and your soul, and not what you can't control. Because I think the hardest thing sometimes is for us to realize that some people come into our life for whatever reason, but they're not meant to be around forever. And perhaps they will come back, perhaps they won't, you know, and that's dependent on what's best for us and our soul path as well. Not just what's best for us, but what might be best for them. And I think that can be the hardest thing to realize, is that maybe they're not coming back. But it can also free you from that repetitive cycle and that addiction and that feeling of being let down every time it doesn't happen. I also think this is a good reason not to put the label of twin flame on anyone. Am I saying they don't exist? No, I'm not saying that. I think we have connections, and sometimes we might have an even stronger soul connection with a particular person, and there's always a reason, a lesson for those connections. But I think putting the label of twin flame on it has become quite unhealthy for quite a few people now as well, especially if you have codependent issues or addiction issues. You know, it's just, yeah, became really unhealthy for me, and so I want to help people realize that it may not be so healthy for them either, and so to bring their focus back within and what their soul might be trying to tell them. And the third way which these cards are being used detrimentally is the cards can be used to be biased towards what people want. So when I did readings for people, which I don't do anymore actually, because I feel like sometimes we move past needing the cards to confirm our intuition and are able to just go within and hear what needs to be said for us and other people instead. So yeah, when there's like a title on a tarot video, which I know has to be done for YouTube, but when there's a title on it and you know what the reading's about, or the tarot reader knows what the reading's about before they start doing it, it can make it really easy for both the tarot reader and yourself to be biased with the cards towards what you want it to be about. Or else when I used to do it for people, I used to tell them to think of whatever they wanted to know in their mind, and then I would do the reading, but not knowing what they were asking about. And I feel like that was a really good way to make sure the reading couldn't be biased by me or them, and had to be what they needed to hear. Sorry, and would definitely be what they needed to hear, not what they wanted to hear. And what I needed to tell them, not what was on my mind because of them telling me what they were asking about. You know, it was a way to make sure that that reading wasn't going to be biased. Now, to summarize all of this, cards are also really limited in what they can tell you. When you're doing a reading and you're looking at cards for the meaning, the cards can only tell you so much with the pictures or with the meaning that that card is for. Or else, if you go within, so much more can be said, and you're not having to put it in a box to fit the card that's being pulled out. And so I do think we are actually moving into a time where we used to use tarot cards to confirm our intuition, to help us with these gifts. And, you know, for me especially, it was hard to give up these readings because tarot cards have been a huge part of my life, and they've helped me and they've helped others along the way. But I do think we're moving towards a time where we don't have to use those tools to connect within anymore. And I also think we're moving towards a time where if we do a tarot card reading, you know, we're better off doing it for ourselves instead of seeing someone else, because of that connection that we have within, you know. So tarot cards and oracle cards readers are not evil, okay? All of this happens for a reason as we grow and as we evolve. And some of us may evolve past needing to use them as a tool. Some of us may still feel like we want to use them as a tool. Also, like, as I said, we're growing, we're evolving, everything's happening for a reason, okay? So I think these sorts of readings may have also helped us heal in ways as well, because it's by going down the path that wasn't right for us, it helps us more fully understand the path that is right for us and the direction in which we need to go as well. And I believe it helped teach us a lot about ourselves. Now, something that I'll recommend at the end of this video is a reader that is the only reader that I will watch now. And I do think it's a good idea to only have one or two readers as well, because like I said, if you feel like tarot readings and oracle readings are still going to help you, then I want to help you get it done in a way that isn't going to be so detrimental. And so the tarot reader that I would recommend, that I've actually only just recently found, is Anakin's Insights, because I've noticed with his readings, it's not the same as everybody else's. It's not all about you know, money and fame and connections. You know, it's a lot about like what's going on with the soul or inner work. And he still does talk about things like outside of ourselves, but he also talks about how it's connected to within ourselves. And I feel like he also gives you guidance on what you can do with the information that the cards are giving you as well, which I think that's something that's lacking as well. Is, okay, here's what the cards say, but what about guidance surrounding that? You know, so I think he does that really well. And yeah, you'll notice if you go on his channel that I feel like his readings aren't all about the same thing. And I think that's another way you can determine if it's speaking to your soul and not your ego or not the general collective, is because it will be about different things. The titles won't be the same as everybody else's. And I can tell as well, because he doesn't really tell you what the reading's going to be about at the beginning of it. He just does the reading. And I truly think that's the best way to do tarot readings and oracle card readings, is to not actually know what they're going to be about, because then you can be open to anything that they're trying to tell you, rather than having a biased point of view. Along with that as well, I do think that people that channel or just speak about their own experiences can be really good to watch as well, because like I said, you're not limited to that picture to box you in what you can say surrounding a situation. Anyway guys, I hope this will help you use tarot cards and oracle cards in a way that's beneficial to you and your soul self, rather than in a way that's detrimental. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day or night wherever you are.